Right, I'm going to give it one more minute, then I'm going to start. So thank you for everyone for being on time. Normally find a few people aren't, so let's give them a chance to join. And there is a chat option. If you have any questions, put some questions in there during the presentation, and then we'll try and answer those at the end. Right, I think that will do us. We'll make a start with who's here, and people who are late can catch up. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm joined by a colleague of mine, Jackie Crouch, is on the call. Some of you may have met Jackie in the past. She's a business development manager at Bluestream, and we'll probably be doing most of the follow-up on this as well. So you may well hear from her again. So for those that don't know, a little bit about Bluestream, just so you know. So we're based out of our head offices in Vancouver, in Canada. We've been around for quite a few years in different guises. I'm based, as you can tell from my accent, in the UK. I'm just outside London. We also have people in the Far East, and Jackie's actually in Spain at the moment. So we've worked with XML content management for a very long time, and we've been working with DITA for a long time. But what we're going to talk about today is our manufacturing suite and how we can use that to automate the creation of IPCs, and how we can use our delivery platform to create interactive service delivery portals. One other thing regarding Bluestream as a company is we're very big on open standards. So wherever possible, you'll find we use open standards. There's an open standard for workflow, which is BPMN2, which we use. There's an open standard for ontologies and taxonomies, which is the web ontology language, known as OWL. And we also expose all of the system through REST API. So as much as possible, the system is open and able to connect to other things. A few of our customers, they're dotted around the world and across all industries. As you can see, we've worked with the likes of Bombardier, we're working with United at the moment, and we also work with Shimano as a manufacturer in Japan, Amazon in North America, Napatech are a Danish company, Xerox worldwide. So, and across all industries, you also see there's software companies in there, there's medical device companies in there. So we actually work with all types of company, as all types of companies adopt DITA. But this is going to be more on the manufacturing side. So hopefully you will find this interesting. So for those that haven't come across me, I look a bit like that, maybe a year older, but not much different. I've been working in structured content and component content management for 20 plus years now, and with DITA since about 2006, and across all markets. But I didn't always do this. I actually started my working life as a design engineer, and I used to design pressure vessels like these. It's quite a long time ago now, but it's good to see that these things are still in existence. Ones I worked on, you still see for sale every now and again. That's actually a vessel that will work under vacuum. It's heated, which I can tell just by looking at it. And they're used in the pharmaceutical and all sorts of different industries. So I do have a bit of engineering interest still. I do like to look at things and think, I wonder how that was made. And generally I can work it out. I can bore all of you on details about this, but I'm not going to. If someone wants to ask me questions, please type in questions and we can discuss unfired fusion welded pressure vessels. But it's not just pressure vessels that we're talking about working. Pressure vessels now, these are unique machines. They need unique documentation, but we're also working with companies that create conveyor systems and warehousing systems. And we're talking to and working with people who build trains. And again, rolling stock's a great thing for DITA because it shares assemblies and sub-assemblies across different versions, but the fact is there are different versions and variations, and if there are different versions and variations, then you need to do something with the documentation, and that's the real challenge I think that's facing us today. I've actually one thing, so you have multiple variations, you have complex pre-sales documentation, and once you've sold the product, which hopefully in XML terms it quite often takes a long time, you've got to create the content to keep the machine going. A lot of these things last for many, many years as well, so you need to be able to update that document set. These days it needs to be available online. You can't send tons of paper out with machines. People don't like tons of paper. We all remember, well, some of us remember when Microsoft used to ship with 21 floppy disks and 3 massive books, one for Excel, one for Word and one for PowerPoint, and you could just use them as doorstops. My first software sales role was for an accountancy software company, and the biggest expense we had was printing. You developed the software, and if someone wanted a copy, it's the cost of a CD as it was back then, but a great big inch thick manual that used to go out with it, which was maintained in Word, believe it or not. So it's really hard to make this content keep it up to date and maintain it and deliver it, and that's what that's one of the challenges, or the challenges we're seeing within our manufacturing customers. Now, the other problem is that content is held in different systems, so it's not all at the fingertips of the technical authors, and so that means it's a hand assembly task to actually create this machine specific or site specific documentation, which obviously it's time consuming, it's hard to update, and it is prone to error. The alternative, and I've just brought quite an expensive razor from Philips, and it's come with I've got this in front of me, about a 16-page document of instructions, which is purely pictures, but it actually relates to, just counting, 7 or 8 different versions of the same razor, but they all do slightly different things. And the only way I can tell what my razor does is I actually have to go off and look at the serial number, and on each page I have to run my finger down until I find the right piece of information. Now, that's not the end of the world, but bad documentation, if I'm an engineer in the field and I'm trying to fix something and I'm having to scroll through loads of pages of printed manual, I've got a PDF on my iPad and I'm trying to find the right thing, that's wasting a huge amount of time for those people, and that's costing an awful lot of money for the company. We started out on this journey many years ago with a wind turbine manufacturer, and they thought at the time that their engineers were spending at least an hour a day trying to find the relevant piece of information in order to complete the task. They're going out to service machine or to fix machine, running through trouble, checking things, and then trying to identify the right part to order if something was broken, because again, that's not very easy. So at Bluestream, we've got this vision now of tightly integrated parts information that will allow manufacturers to better address customer service and increase sales of spare parts. So if you can create a channel whereby your end customers are coming back to you for parts and not going to some aftermarket manufacturer, even if it's just the normal consumables, if you make it easy for them to order the consumables, you're creating an additional stream of revenue for the business just through better documentation. And if we start creating revenue streams from within tech pubs, then the rest of the company are going to start listening to tech pubs, and tech pubs turn around and say, oh, we want to do this. You won't be stuck with so much stuff that you don't want. So a quick look at the XDocs architecture. So as I mentioned, we like open standards. XDocs sits on a MySQL database. That means that as well as XML content, we can curate non-XML content. So we can bring all the audio files, all the video files, all the images, everything into the system, and it's all in one place. And because we have a full set of REST APIs and we're a very open company, we can connect to loads of different systems, editors, PLM systems, ERP systems, PIM systems. All these manufacturing systems can supply data and content which we bring into the system, and then we can push that out. We have our own delivery platform, so we can push out IPCs, we can create items, and obviously HTML, web help, PDFs, everything else, all content to then put into InDesign. So we bring everything in and we can put everything out. And as a system, we have a desktop side and we have a website. So some of the activities, some of the configuration is done using web applications, but the real heavy lifting, the real, what I would say, expert technical authors are generally using a web-based tool, a desktop tool called XDocs Explorer. And in the same way, most authors working in DITA today would be using Oxygen on the desktop rather than the web version of Oxygen, or they'd be using FrameMaker on the desktop. So I think that's consistent at the moment. I think in time we will probably move more capability into the web apps, but at the moment it's still on a desktop side of things. And I like to say that we support the full life cycle of documents. So we've got customers that use XDocs to create content for pre-sales, so linked to a configure price quote system, for example, whereby data is brought in from other systems, collected. You can configure the system that you want. That generates the price from the ERP. The quote documentation is then built automatically and sent out. But just as equally, we support post-sales publication. So this, after something's been sold, we've got our interactive service portal with your IPCs, etc. And still we've got XDocs sitting in the middle. So that gives us a complete end-to-end offering. I'll give another diagram really for this particular solution that we're talking about, which is everything in green. We're bringing content in from ERP or PLM systems, CAD systems, and then the manufacturing suite contains, you'll see these components in a couple of minutes. We then produce our manuals, which we sit on our own portal, but we can connect that also into e-commerce platforms, so SAP or for example, and we also can push that content out to Internet of Things devices. So just excuse me, just a sip of water. So the manufacturing suite, as we see it, it's a new way of creating and assembling all types of service documentation. So what we're doing is we're using the flexibility of XDocs, we're using the REST APIs to bring in content from CPQ systems, ERP systems, CAD systems, etc. And most importantly, because all these machines end up or are built using bills of materials, and there's lots of different types of bills of materials, as we know, but this is as much about as built bills of materials. So how did it finally end up? Because if we have the final as built bill of material, that gives us the ability to build the as built documentation. And that is the key thing. And the last, you'll be glad to know, of my PowerPoint slides. If you just bear with me, I'll just switch to the device, which is there. So as I say, Bluestream are almost unique in so much as, although we are a CCMS vendor, we do have our own delivery platform. And like everything else we do, the delivery platform is a very open system. So we let our customers or our partners do the configuration. Nothing is tied down and locked down so that it has to come back to us. So some of the delivery systems out there, you can't do very much to them yourselves. You have to rely on the original vendor, which is both time consuming and costly. So we've just put together a small tools company here with a couple of different tools. We could go on forever, but we're going to look at drills today as a first part. So the idea here, and this could be any machine, so please use your imagination. We've got service manuals, we've got an illustrated parts catalogues, a maintenance schedule, and training material. And as I said before, because within this system we can curate and look after non-DITA and non-XML content, the training, we can bring all your training videos into here, PDF, old legacy documents, user guides, etc. So everything is in one place. Oh, sorry. Let me just. I'm trying to get rid of that. Apologies for that, people. So if we drill down, this is an illustrated parts catalogue. We can move this around. We can have a look at the parts that we want. Think, oh, actually, what's that? Oh, that's a spark plug. So that's highlighted. And likewise, if you know what you're looking for and you can't see it in the drawing, that's a carburetor assembly. So these are really easy things to work with. This is a simple example. But if I find that that's the part that I need, I've got this option here, add to cart, and that's, you see in the top right hand corner, that's actually added something into a shopping cart, and that could be linked directly to a fulfillment system. It really depends on the business and how a particular business wants to work. Some people may want to generate a list that then goes off for approval. Some companies might say, well, actually the engineers know what they're looking at, and that's, if they highlight the list of parts, maybe someone else will then go back to the end customer and say, right, these parts are within the service contract, these are outside the service contract. It's all really completely up to you as to how you want this system to work. And if we go back to our drills again, we look at the service manual here. So we've got, you can see this down the side, various parts and things. So it's just a DITA map. Everyone here who's working with DITA will hopefully recognize that for what it is. So we've got this map here, easy to navigate. We integrate with Salesforce, and there's webinars on our website actually relating to that. But one thing that's noticeable with that is Salesforce brings back very poor content a lot of the time. So you do a search and Salesforce, it brings you back a single static page. And if that's not the right page that you're looking for, then you have to repeat the process. We actually take people in return topics and content from Salesforce, but also from a knowledge base. And you see this sort of thing is much easier to navigate around. We can go down, not scaled very well. So we can look, that's the side handle disassembly process, which is a fairly simple thing. But again, we've got this link back to the illustrated parts catalog. So if I need to order a component, I could simply click on that and I need that. That's a handle side, and I can add that to the cart as well. So it's just making this whole content really easy and really accessible. So how do we get there? I think there's probably the key thing here. So this particular instance is based, we have a customer who builds and supplies conveyor and warehousing systems for online retailers. So all over the world. But they have lots of different customers. So the idea here, you may have multiple different customers, and each customer may have different sites. So we're on a Wednesday site, perhaps, because it's Wednesday. And so what I can do is I can load a site, which takes us into our BOM manager, a bills of material manager. So there's a few in here. So I could repeat this. So what we do is we create a new bill of material. We are on webinar, for example. Give it a name. So we're creating a placeholder, and then from there, because we're going to apply this bill of material to that particular site, we then go off. We're importing here as a CSV file. I've got a CSV file all set up, open, and then I can import that. It's a small CSV file, obviously, from the size of the drill. It's not a massive number of components, but we have got instances with over 600,000 lines of content. Not less. 60,000, I believe. Sorry, I may be telling you too, but basically thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of items, and we bring those in to the system. And you see, we've got this idea of merge here. So what you don't want to have is the same item stored time and time and time again, but in different places for slightly different applications. So what we're doing is we run a merge report and we dedupe the items, because they will have the same, an M10 20 millimeter socket head cap screw will have the same code wherever it's used on a train or wherever it's used in a conveyor system. So you only need one of those items to be stored within your system. So we prepare a merge report, and then we can view it because it's very quick. It says it's ready, and then we can proceed with a merge. There's nothing really to worry about, and that's it. It's as simple as that. It's just a way of making sure we don't have multiple duplicates in the system. Is there any questions so far? I'm quite happy for people to interrupt on the way. Very quiet. So I will carry on. So once we've imported this, we can explore this. We can actually have a look at the BOM before we go too far. We want to make sure everything's fine. So we can have an explore. So that's our webinar BOM. We have a staging tree. We've got a production tree as well. So it's got all of the components that make up our particular drill all broken down here. We can, I don't like that, glue sub-assemblies, and we can go off and decide that yes, we're happy with this. So we can go back to our BOM manager, or we could decide actually that's not right. We don't want that one. We're going to use an earlier version. But whichever one we decide, we can then generate our illustrated parts catalogue from here. That's going to overwrite things. Just a warning, goes off again. As I say, this is a small set of data, so it is very, very quick. If you were doing a warehouse with 70,000 lines of parts, it would probably take a little bit longer. But now we've generated the IPC, we're still not in DITA, but we can still make further changes within the system. I'm going to do that to me today, I can tell. So we can go through this. This is the engine assembly, see a piston there and rods and things. So I can make changes, I can rename things, I can edit the figures as well, so I can change the diagrams. If it's not the correct diagram, I'm looking through and I'm thinking, no, that's not actually the latest diagram, there's an error. Errors do happen. I can go into the figure editor, and that will give me the option of re-importing a different image and importing related hotspots. What we do is when we bring images into the system, we can automatically add the hotspots to the diagrams to link everything together. So we run an OCR application over the diagram, and then we tie the call out number back to the part number. So we can go back to our catalog editor. We were there, and we can also, within the configuration, we can change the views here. So how is this IPC going to look? We've got different IPC views. So that's our standard one. We can edit the columns. We can put more or different columns into our IPC. We can take columns out. So you've got the ability to change this and actually make it look exactly how we want it to look. Sorry, I went to the wrong place. Until you're happy with that this is going to look correct. And then once we've done that, we can just generate DITA. So what we're actually doing is we're automatically going off and generating our DITA content. And that DITA content is what we publish back to our knowledge base. But because we're creating DITA content, that's now can be exposed to other systems and other used by the authors, which is quite important. So I could show you, just to show you how easy this is, as an example of how we make things easy for our customers. So this is where you update that portal that we were looking at, but within the navigation, within the drills, I can add another product as a chart or as a help set. I can give it a random ID, which it doesn't like, obviously, because I've put strange things in, and then assign that to the DITA map and then publish, and then that's created a new help set within that original. That would have put another thing under drill, as simple as that. And the ability, because this shares the same database as the CCMS, you can just update a single topic as well on the CCMS and then update the web portal. So again, some systems, because they don't share the same database, you have to run exports and imports, and they're time consuming and a risk of errors creeping in. So because it's DITA, we have within Bluestream, we have our own web explorer for use by subject matter experts for collaboration, and this is where we're putting more efforts in and building out the functionality. So just to show you some of the things you can do within this is I've logged in there as the administrator. I've got different view here. This would be a subject matter expert. He logs in, he sees he's got some workflow tasks that he can claim. You can actually see what state it is. This is just one of our standard workflows where some content's been created and it's been sent to this particular subject matter expert for review and approval. So he can claim the task, he can actually look at the document, open it up, make some comments, but he can't do much else here. The administrator has the ability to see we can browse. He's not got any tasks because they're just the administrator, but we can browse through. Thank you. I need to log on again. We can browse the content. So we've created our drills. We can look at our drill number 1. We could look at Wednesday's drill. We've got the data map there. This is going to retrieve by right. Sorry. So these were the contracts of the different sites, and then we can look at the data map, and we can view that as the whole. Eventually gets there. So this is just something we can actually show the entire publication online. We can go view, because we're in review mode, he can actually add comments. So if you want to add a comment, add comment, right click. And this is Oxygen Web Author is embedded in here. So this is all XML, everything we're doing now. So those comments are captured as XML. They're related to this particular topic. If we open up that topic in the desktop version, or the author opens it up, he'll be able to see the comment and act on it or not act on it as they see fit. And if I go to author mode, I can now make changes. So if I don't want that, I could call it a silencer and save it to the system and make that change. And you see the document saved and automatically checked back in to XDocs. So you can see from that process that it's very easy to create custom specific machine documentation. And if we go and look at the desktop version of Oxygen, which one we were, yeah, thank you. We can check out content from within here. The changes are already there. If I'm actually within Oxygen, I can check content out from within XDocs from within Oxygen as well. I'm sure I'm logged in as there. So we're bringing the content, we're creating it easily on the web. We can review it, make any changes that need to be made. We can then publish it back to our portal, and that can be made available to any, we can push this to any device as well. So it's just one way of delivering the content, but certainly easy to update and maintain it. So some of the benefits from this is an increase in spare parts sales because you're providing a direct link back to your own ordering systems, and with a machine specific illustrated parts catalog, you are going to get the right parts ordered most of the time. And that's going to keep machines running better. The downtime is going to be reduced. And so everyone starts to be more productive. So that really just leads on to questions. It was a very deliberately a short run through, but it really, in order to make a start on this conversation and to encourage discussion. So have we got any questions? I can't see it. Right.